Ah. Don't worry, guys. I'll get him back. That was really weird. Hold on. Almost there. Almost there.
Way to break everything, Ben.
Yeah, I know. What's up with that?
According to the chat room, the last thing they heard was, maybe you haven't.
Oh my gosh.
I don't want hashtag John is quick to be a hashtag that catches on.
Nothing wrong with that.
Then we won't mention it.
Good, it'll be a secret. To everybody except those who know.
It's been too long since
That's
we've gotten
kind.
a 5-star review in the US. That's the issue.
So they crashed our stream.
That's exactly what happened, actually. It's like, you're not being good enough.
If you don't get a review, we're gonna sabotage this.
Oh no. Oh no.
Are we back?
streaming yet?
Yeah, we're back.
Oh, yeah, we are. I just
have
said
been for a
Then I
while.
won't mention what I was about to say.
No, you can. Go ahead.
Okay. I've been watching Stu play Witcher like every night for 5 hours because it's really amazing. And last night, he finally met this blonde sorceress chick. And she's all like, cleavage is like, her shirt's just unbuttoned down to there. Just kind of hanging out there. And she's promising like a lot of stuff. And we're like, is she actually going to do it or is she not going to do it? And we're like, no, she's not. Yes, she might, but no, she's not. And then he gets the right combination of conversation with her. And watching Sloot's face while things are happening, that was priceless. I love that stream. That's so much fun.
I've got to play more Witcher.
I've got to eventually
I'm told
play
though,
it.
if you do like the wrong conversation conversation trees, she'll attack you,
Oh,
which is probably not nearly as much fun.
Wait, which way?
no, that doesn't seem nearly as good. Although, seems like an accurate description of all the relationships I've ever had.
Good to know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm oversharing tonight. I'm sleep deprived.
Me too.
Every-
So let's start the show.
Oh, we probably should. That's fine, though.
Why the hell not?
We talked about unicorn sex. We got it all out of our system.
Yeah.
One hopes.
We can start the show at this point.
All right. Well, Alisaunder, whenever you are ready.
I'm not sure that's going to be, but okay. Hello, this is Alisaunder from the Hunting Party Podcast, and you're listening to the Azeroth Roundtable, episode 113.
Wow, she even put the episode number in there.
Got
Yeah,
practice.
and she put on a clever little hint of what we might talk about coming up.
Ooh,
It was advanced.
that's pretty. You
That
know
was-
what? Gold star to you.
That's the kind of intro doing that multiple tries will allow for. Multiple times, because it technically wasn't tries.
I did
What I'm trying
manage
to
slip
say
in a
is-
sex unicorn, though.
Well, we've already hit the sex unicorn. That didn't take
That'll
long.
be the after.
That's the after show. Welcome to Azeroth Roundtable, episode 113. My name is Ben Bumhofer, and with me, as always, is John Jagger. How's it going, John?
I'm doing good, Ben. I like the way you're trying to avoid us talking about sex unicorns. But I mentioned it anyway.
Thanks. With us this week, we have the wonderful Alisaunder. How's it going?
I'm not so sure anymore. I thought it was going pretty well for a while.
Good point.
The pre-show was really good, and then it just suddenly plummeted.
Yeah, I blame
Yeah.
you, John. Blame June. Definitely. Anyways,
I blame Ro.
well, we could do that too. I mean, he doesn't get blamed for nearly enough, really. Now that I think about it. But, Alisaunder, how are you doing? What have you been up to?
I have been watching people play Witcher for me, and it's been good. I'm just going through the levels, and things are happening. Sex unicorns. It's a really amazing game. I really can't say enough about it because I'm not playing it. But I installed Heroes of the Storm. Gotta get my Graves. It's gotta be my 515th pet because I'm working on that and been role playing and yeah, garrisons. So yeah, woo.
Now, how has Heroes gone for you? I know you had asked a few questions on how to begin and sort of some concerns you had early on. How have you experienced it so far?
The answers were good. The install went well. The bar moved, and then there's like messages, and I got a 100% installed message, and then I went to bed. So
Wow.
All right.
I think
That's
I'm
progress.
off to a good start here.
You almost have that pet. You just have to sit through a few hours of Uther saying, "Hello, friend. I see you're playing on the Haunted Mines. Would you like to buy something in the Heroes store?"
I feel like I'm watching Witcher already.
That's what he does. He tells you to buy stuff at the Heroes store.
Yeah. So
That's
okay.
good.
First of all, I commend you on making Graves your 515th pet. I can tell you from experience in Heroes, you can probably get a different pet for 515 a lot sooner. But very commendable. I'm actually really looking forward to that as well because, pets. But
Well, to be honest, I'm gonna probably get Graves before I finally get that Sister of Desire from Black Temple. Yeah, you know what I mean.
oh yeah, I think I got her my second week of trying 7 tunes every week, something like that. Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, still working on that one.
Well, that's good. Question for you though, what have you been doing in RP? Like, I know that you said you've been playing your garrison. Are you like going around and saluting everybody and RPing, like work orders and stuff? Because that's, I don't know, for some reason I kind of get a sick pleasure out of every time an NPC salutes me and I salute back and I'm all, yeah, cool.
Well, I do that, but also I have an inn. So you go down the inn and you request a new follower, and then you have to interview your followers. And it's like, I don't know, that one's gonna work, and I just don't think he's gonna fit in, orcs and alliance, but this one's a gnome. I've got a thing for gnomes, being a gnome, and so we like giggle together. It's really cute, and so I hire her. It's good. Now then I go down to the mines, and there's Lantrasaur, and he's coming out, and he looks all sad, and I'm like, oh, Lantrasaur, you're my dude. You're in charge of my mines, keeping it clear for me. Salute. And move on, because he's making me feel guilty.
Oh, I just feel so bad. Anytime I see him out of the mine, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Get back in there. You're not supposed to see sunlight.
Well, I hired another miner. Actually, I hired 2.
Oh, really?
Because, I wanted to let him free, because,
I think it's illegal to hire miners even in Azeroth.
Well, no, here's the thing, is like, the miner that it gave me was like this female human. She's wearing a gold crown, pink robes with gold trim, and like this big old staff, and she's like all lit up like a fairy, like angel, and I'm like, yeah, you're totally going to the mines. So I tried one more time, and it's like, hi, gnome girl with pink ponytail and stuff. Yeah, this is Lantrasaur. I think you're like really good with the mines, dude. So yeah.
It'd be great.
My name's Cindy, and I like ponies, and I like pretty dresses, and I like going to see new places. Well, that's fantastic, Cindy. How do you like the sound of doing hard manual labor in a deep, dark mine? Great. Get in there.
Yeah, wouldn't it be great if every single follower you had the ability to do mining? That way, if they do a bad job on a mission, you could just, send them down there for a while.
I've really been given this thought, though, and I'm not sure I really need a mine, because I finally got my sixth or seventh, I'm losing track, garrison up, and so I got the garden open. I know. I got the garden opened up, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go and I'm going to clear out all these gophers or whatever they are. But they're kind of cute, and they're like pets, so it's like, it's like I got this like extra menagerie thing going on. I'm hopeless. I'm sorry. So I've got no garden. I'm thinking maybe I just won't bother with mine next time, because, let's let the Gorn run free or something. Yeah, I'm sad.
No, that is something that you can do. I mean, if you're going to RP it up, you might as well. Make it someone who is, completely an equal opportunity humanoid person, and be like, yeah, Gorn, they ate the rocks. It's cool. Have fun. Have at it.
I know. Because that Ore Trader, she's just ripping me off, so. But there is one good thing, though, is one of my Horde side followers. Totally useless in every single way, but she has my real name, my real life name.
Oh.
So she is like totally in charge of my garrison. I don't have a common name, so it's just like, you lady are hired. So, yeah.
Perfect. Sounds good.
She's forsaken, so there's a few things falling off here and there, but, we'll fix it. So, yeah.
It could be worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what have you been up to?
Actually, I was just about to ask John. John, what is up with you? Because I know that you've been doing quite a bit and having a busy week.
I have. I've been house sitting, which is a nightmare wrapped in a dramatic hellscape.
That sounds a lot like Tanan Jungle, I have to say.
My parents went out of town. They went over to California, and they had me come stay at their place and watch their 3 dogs, which I thought would be no problem because they're dogs. Yep, that's one of them right there. You can hear them. So apparently what I have heard from friends and coworkers is this week I look and sound like somebody who is a single parent, because I have been doing nothing but cleaning up poop and pee and vomit and taking trips to the vet and dealing with house issues and waking up at 2 in the morning because some dog needs to go out and go to the bathroom, and then waking up again at 5 a.m. just to do the same thing. So it's been an experience, and it's almost over, thankfully. As a result, however, I did not raid this week. I actually would have gone with you all, but there's only so much that I feel comfortable with installing on my mom's computer. So
good call.
I didn't push that to the crazy limits of getting all my mods and getting Mumble and getting all that stuff set up to do raiding. So I had WoW in there so I could go in and do Garrison stuff, but I really didn't like how it looked or ran on this PC, so I knew I wasn't going to do much. I have been able to play a little bit of Heroes, but the mouse that she uses, anytime that the laser no longer is making contact with the mouse surface, it completely resets the positioning of the mouse, which has made doing trick shots in Heroes almost impossible. As well as gotten me killed more than once, we'll say. So it's been tough to kind of enjoy gaming a bit this week as far as PC gaming goes. However, I did bring over my PS4, and that included The Witcher Wild Hunt, which is a new game, came out.
Some people call it The Witcher 3.
Some people call it The Witcher 3. That's a name that you could call it. I don't know if it's the name they would want you to call it, but that's the name some people call it. That's a great game, Ben. I highly recommend it, although it is very clearly designed to be a PC game. And
It is.
I say that because the menus are very busy and not easy to navigate with a controller. The other thing I noticed is that the text is super small. Not tiny in the way that, like original Xbox 360 games where they actually had to patch in bigger text. Although they actually are doing that, so it apparently is at least on par with that. But I was originally playing that game sitting on the couch, and then very quickly realized I cannot do this, and I had to go move a chair right in front of the TV and sit down and play in that anytime I wanted to play it. So I'm ultimately going to be probably playing it on the PC. I actually just got a new video card that came with a free copy of the game, so I have it on the PC as well. And so that's how I'm ultimately going to be playing that game. But I was able to dive in a little bit on the PS4, and it's pretty darn good. So I would not be surprised for anybody who's interested in it if maybe a couple streams here and there of me playing The Witcher appeared on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/AzerothRT. I just plugged us on our own show. What do you think of that, Ben?
Good job, I guess.
Good job.
So, I mean, that's really been it for me for gaming this week. I got loot still from not raiding because my Garrison followers are awesome. One of them gave me a shrunken head, I think.
Whose?
I don't know. It was gross. I clicked the little thing to get my loot, and this little nasty, gross, shriveled head appeared in my icon. It's a trinket of some kind. I'm sure everybody out there is like, well, it's this trinket, but I don't remember what it was called. I just remember being like, well, that's not what I expected to appear in my inventory.
You look at it, it's all, hi, my name's Cindy.
I like pretty dresses. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to. What about you, Ben?
Oh boy, have I been busy. Kind of. It's been a busy week. Work has been busy. We'll just say that. I played more Heroes, and that game is good. I don't know if you know about that, John. It's a good game.
What is this Heroes of the Storm?
Well, Alisaunder, you're kind of a hero. Tell me if I'm right on this. It's a hero brawler where you go and beat up other heroes on maps that you do objectives on. So
kind of like a MOBA.
Kind of.
On a core.
Yeah.
Core.
Yeah, you have to ham on it or something.
Yeah. Ham, eggs, bacon, something like that.
Oh, yeah,
Bacon on the
totally.
core.
Yeah.
I'm told that's important.
But been doing that. I actually I hit level 18 earlier tonight, which I'm pretty stoked for. I'm having a lot of fun playing as Muradin again because, he got buffed. And, John, you gave me a very good spec that I've been rocking and don't die very often with it, which makes me pretty happy. Plus, I've become a much better player by, not immediately running in and fighting everybody and think I'm invincible all the time. So, that helps out a lot.
Yeah, it turns out that if you know what you're doing and you practice, you do well.
Mm-hmm, definitely. But I will say that everything that you and Mick and everybody else has said about, leveling from 8 to 10 on a hero is true. Holy crap, I cannot get enough XP. And I'm level 8, so I have my third tint, which is really cool. But I want to get to 9 so I can change my mount, and I want to get to 10 so I can get that master skin. But it is going to take forever. Forever. Like,
yeah,
seriously.
stim packs almost feel mandatory at a certain point for that game to feel like it progresses in a way that feels good.
Yeah.
So it's that you're kind of at that point. Now, I will say once Hero League opens up, you will be able to earn more experience through doing that. But because of the nature of Hero League, there's not a guarantee you'll be earning that experience with the character you want to be earning it with.
Yeah, because of drafting and stuff, right?
Right. It kind of becomes a thing where it's just, you just got to kind of ride it out, keep playing games as the heroes you like, and you'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
Well, it's just a beta, though, so you're supposed to feedback stuff like that, like this XP is a little too slow, so that they can fix that.
Yeah, but the only problem with that is that because of the nature of the game, I think that they put it there for that specific reason, to keep you playing, to keep you in, because there's nothing else pushing you. If you get to 10 on all the heroes too fast, then, other than the joy of the game, is there something else that's really going to keep you coming back? As long as you have that achievable goal, even if it's tough to get to, you're still going to be in playing and tempted to, spend money and everything.
Yeah, I would say that I think right now the speed probably feels good for the original amount of heroes that they had. I think now that they're getting more heroes in there, I think it could probably be sped up. Looking at it right now at where all my heroes are at, I've essentially gotten to 10 on 2 of them. I've got a level 10 Sylvanas, I've got a level 10 Tassadar. My next highest at that point is a level 8 Thrall. And then beyond that, there's a couple of level 4s. And so, not a ton of progress beyond that. I've also been using stim packs, which there's a slightly cynical part of me that says, well, they'll never speed it up because they want to sell stim packs, and if it's too fast, they won't.
Yeah.
Which I hope is not true, but maybe it is. But I feel like when they have enough heroes, they can speed it up a little bit, because then the drive becomes, well, I need to earn enough gold to unlock the master skin for this hero that I've got to level 10, or I need to earn enough gold to unlock these other heroes. There's plenty of other drives in the game. I do think it should probably be sped up a little bit. It definitely feels too slow. And it's a sudden stop, too. It's not that it slowly ramps up and all of a sudden you're saying, oh, whoa, this is taking way too long. It's that you literally go from, a couple games and I'm up to level 7, to then you get into that 8, 9, and 10, and all of a sudden it's like you've just hit a wall, and you see that thing barely creep at all.
Yeah, and I was playing with a full party, too, and a stim pack. Barely anything.
Well, if they want this to be an e-sport, then they can't really put a grind in there because people want to just jump in there and play the thing, is my understanding of it.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is that they do have the game set up so that you can just jump in and play. I mean, there's a plethora of heroes to choose from. You find one that you like. You either pay in-game currency or cash for it, and it works really well for that. I mean, I wouldn't be playing this game if it wasn't as easy to get into as they've made it at this point. But just like the mantra for most of the Blizzard games is that, easy to pick up, hard to master. I think that kind of flows into that as well. It's like easy to pick up, hard to get to the end. I don't know.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So
I have much to learn.
Oh, you'll like it though. It's a great game. So much fun.
It is. It has been taking up a lot of my time. Ben, we need to play more of that together.
Yes, I know we do. I really do know that. Other than that, I picked up a game on Steam for like $10 called Lost Orbit, and it is really fun. I highly recommend that you go to giantbomb.com and watch the quick look for it, just because it'll give you kind of an idea what it is. But it's like your little dude in space flying around, getting through like courses and stuff. Try not to run into things, because if you run into them, you die. But I'm actually really enjoying it. It's got a really good soundtrack. It's like a total like kind of trancey zen type of techno to it, and you're just kind of flying through space, doing stuff, dodging things, and I'm really, really liking it. So.
What ultimately got you to pick up that game? Because I saw you got it, and I was a little curious about it, because at the time you posted it, I didn't even know what it was.
Which never happens. You always say, hey, play this.
Yeah, I'm usually the one who's like, hey, play this, and then you have to go and research and find out what it is. It's very rare that, first of all, you've bought a game that isn't WoW. And second of all...
I'm always broke.
And second of all, that it's a game that, you obviously were interested in enough to buy, but that I hadn't even heard of. So where did you come across Lost Orbit?
Giantbomb.com. I watched the quick look. And
really?
Yeah, seriously.
Okay, because see, that's the thing that weirded me out, is I didn't see that they had the quick look until, I think it was like the day after you had mentioned it, and I was like, oh, weird, that's that game that Ben just bought. I was like, I wonder what made him get into it. So
yeah, that's exactly what it was. Well, I mean, first of all, it was Vinny, and Vinny is my favorite Giant Bomb person because he's just fantastic and hilarious. But I've been in. Okay, I don't know if it's because of Star Wars coming a long while from now or what's going on with it, but I've been feeling, kind of like a sci-fi space feeling and stuff, and I kind of wanted something along with that. So, I was on Giant Bomb. I love the website, love the podcast, things like that. And Lost Orbit. I'm like, oh, orbits have to do with space. Let's see what this game's about. And I started watching, and I found out, like, after they said how cheap it was on Steam, and it's also on PS4, by the way, I'm just like, oh, okay, cool. I watched them play about a half hour, 40 minutes of it or so, and I'm like, this looks like a lot of fun. I'll try it out. And it's just... I mean, there's not a whole ton to it. You just kind of go through. I mean, there's times on all the different courses, how many times you die, things like that. But you can play it like I do and just kind of go through and have fun. So check that out. It's pretty cool.
Well, you don't have to sell me on that concept as somebody who found themselves inexplicably reinstalling the Old Republic on his computer. I understand this weird phenomena of, hey, let's all get excited about Star Wars.
Yeah.
I've done that.
Yeah. A lot of people have.
Yeah, I do RP in Star Wars, the Old Republic.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Every time I played that, I built my character with an RP, mindset, which is one of the reasons why I hated that one mission as a bounty hunter where you didn't actually kill your contract. Anyways.
Yeah, you know what? I agree. They sometimes make it a little hard to RP in Old Republic, which is weird because they're kind of the story company with
and they're
BioWare.
good at it.
Yeah, and they are good at it, but at times, like, as a bounty hunter, I always felt penalized because sometimes following the contract was a light side choice, sometimes it was a dark side choice. And when you want to role play and say, oh, I'm going to be a character that always gets the job done. There's a dog squeaking a squeaky toy. Great for podcasting.
No, great for bounty hunter talk. I'm going to get the job done.
Let's talk about bounty hunters.
It's not just on the bounty hunters, because I played on the Sith side, and there's sometimes the Sith quests where you think you're doing something totally evil, and then you actually get light side points for it somehow. It's kind of weird.
That's really weird. Really weird indeed.
And I just want to point out, happy birthday, BioWare. It's your 20th anniversary.
Yes, happy birthday. You've made some of the greatest games there are. Like
Yes.
Mass
We
Effect.
need some cheering children here.
Thank you, BioWare.
I won't put them
Thank
in, but yay.
Thank you so much, BioWare. You guys make me so happy.
Yes. So, other than Lost Orbit, obviously I've been playing some WoW. Did some raiding some more on my panda. I was healing and, did okay. Ended up getting even more loot, which is really cool because I feel like I can kind of get to the point where I'm useful. I mean, people are living because of me, which is pretty neat. So, yay! I don't like the idea of having to go through and do the legendary quest again. That's not all that much fun. But whatever. It's a necessary evil. Gotta do it. So, going to. And last but not least, I don't remember if I mentioned it on the last show or not, but I got my pet menagerie finally to level 3. It took me forever because I like collecting. I don't like battling as much. But I also found out that you can do that pet battle quest on anyone who has a pet menagerie every single day. So I've got 3 characters with it, so I can do it 3 times, which is great because there's going to be a new NPC coming that is selling pets for the pet charms, and in order to get all of them, you need a grand total of 400.
400?
Yeah.
Oh, for all the pets.
Yeah, for all the pets.
The highest one's 200. But
Yep. There's a 200, a 100, and 250s.
yeah,
So.
you scared me there.
Oh, yeah, that makes me mad. But beside that, though, the really cool thing is that something having to do with pets that I was going to talk about that I just totally spaced on. So, all right, go me. Oh, I remember. So Kura, the traveling Tauren girl, or I forget what her name is on Alliance, because who cares?
Eris.
Yep, who cares? But I know what I mean. And also the level 3 pet menagerie, like they each give you a bag if you beat the quest. Well, I've gotten all the pets between the 2 different bags, so I'm set for all those. So I'm pretty excited about that. But other than that, we have a whole lot to talk about. We were going to do like a news and then a roundtable and everything. But you know what? It all kind of fits together into a roundtable. So we're going to take a seat at the kiddie table.
What's happening in Azeroth? What's the point of the dragon aspects? Seriously, Calgos, what's the point? I want ice cream! And now, entering the rain, Gary, the wash, house scream. I want ice cream! My favorite thing is when night elves dance on the mailbox. I want ice cream.
The kiddie table.
I love that so much, and we never get to play it as often as I'd like. And I know, John, you think it's too long.
It is too long, but it's super adorable. I do love it. It could be a little bit shorter, but
No, it
it's
couldn't.
great.
It could
For
not be
kids,
shorter.
I think it's short enough.
And trust me, there was a lot more that I could have put in there, but I decided not to. Anyways, welcome to the round table where we talk about whatever.
Thank you for
Stuff happened.
inviting me.
Yeah, I'm glad you can come.
Where we talk about whatever.
Yeah,
Good,
stuff.
Good call, Ben. Good call.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when I screw that whole thing up. But anyways, there was a lot of news that happened this week. We've got a lot to get to, a lot to talk about, and I have a feeling that between the three of us, we're going to be quite opinionated on all of it. So, John, you mentioned in pre-show that there is a possible, some ranting that might be coming on.
It's true. If you don't like when I rant about things, this might not be the episode for you. However, if you enjoy when I get upset and passionate about things, you might be awfully excited about what's to come.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But so first bit of news here, patch 6.2 is on the background downloader.
Yeah, that means it's coming soon, Ben.
Soon. TM.
They wouldn't have you download it if it wasn't coming soon.
That's true. Alisaunder, do you know, have they actually tested the raids and everything? Like, how far into the PTR have they actually gotten? Do either of you know?
I know that the Mythic people have been testing up to at least the last dude, Archimond.
Okay.
I think they've tested him as well, but I can't be for sure because they don't stream that.
I wish they would.
Well, they will, but
Why,
they're trying
Ben?
to keep
You
their
hate,
secrets.
you
I don't
hate
know.
spoilers.
I don't know, just so that people know what to do. Shut up. I don't know. No idea.
There is a lot of green fire going on. I will say that.
Yeah, everything's green. Green and fiery. But yeah, coming soon, so that's really cool. Something
Yeah.
else that is really neat is Ogrim Doomhammer has been revealed.
Can't say it like that. Doomhammer.
Sorry. Ogrim Doomhammer has been revealed.
You could punch up Ogrim a little bit.
Ogrim Doomhammer. Hi, I'm Ogrim.
I am Ogrim. I like pretty dresses and ponies, and please don't make me go work in the mines.
Yeah, so this picture's been floating around. It's everywhere at this point. It was on Twitter a whole bunch. It was on, well, every website that I know of a whole bunch.
But it's
been everywhere.
exciting because it's a chance for other people to kind of see what we've already seen.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not exactly what we saw at BlizzCon, but we've all kind of gotten to see what to expect with the orcs. And so for people that were not there this last year, or, they now get to kind of see a little bit of what we saw, which is, hey, somehow they have made orcs that look even more realistic than what is in Blizzard cutscenes.
Mm-hmm. And
It's pretty amazing.
Oh, it's
just
good
looking
looking.
at this guy in high res. Oh man, the hair coming out of his ears and his nose, and oh man, it's really, I had no idea because I've never seen it before. But I mean, he's got, I don't know, fungus growing off his little skull chest thing. It's truly amazing when you zoom in on this thing because you'll never see it in the movie theater because he's never going to be standing still. But oh man, it makes you wonder what the next movie's going to do with stuff like this. Because once they've got the technology, then they can reuse it for other things in the future. Because this is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who did this. Was this Light and Magic?
yeah,
Yeah,
ILM.
this was ILM.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is so good.
It is great. And I mean, seeing it in motion is one of the fantastic things. Like, I can't stress enough that I'm just super excited for this because they've actually taken, a really good, bit of concept artwork, everything that Blizzard's used for references, things like that, and created a living being. I mean, we talked about it after our BlizzCon episode, but I can't stress it enough. Seeing it in motion, seeing the expressions on the face, just movement, it is done so well that visuals are not going to be a problem with this movie. They've nailed it from everything that we've seen.
Yeah, there's a lot of places where this movie could go wrong, but the look of it is not one of them so far from what we've seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Alisaunder, how, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for the movie, and, like, what are your expectations about it?
Well, I am a devoted follower of extended maintenance, so I have strong ideas about how I think the movie should go, and I'm trying really hard to keep my expectations low because I don't want to go in and just be really disappointed because this wasn't the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. So I think it's going to be all right.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you my
Have some
one.
popcorn.
Here's the thing. I think as a WoW fan, it's going to be very hard not to dig the movie. Even if it's just ultimately a purely visual perspective, I think going there and seeing things up on the big screen that are related to WoW, I think there's going to be kind of a geek out moment for that no matter what.
Well,
My
here's the other
hope
thing.
is...
I'm like seriously a lore nerd, like really, really into the lore, and that might trip me up. I'm hoping that it won't, but I can't help it because I know this stuff. I love this stuff. This is a great period. And I'm really wanting to see Medivh and all that stuff back when he was young and old and like, weird. It's going to be so cool. I'm getting excited again. Make me stop.
I'll tell you one thing that I'm excited about and hopeful about. My big hope is that this is not Warcraft Part 1 of the epic Warcraft trilogy, or Warcraft, the first movie in the Blizzard cinematic universe. Like, they're making a Warcraft movie. In theory, and I hope this is the case, we go in and we see a kick-ass movie from start to finish, and it's done. And I would be somewhat disappointed if after the credits Samuel L. Jackson showed up and recruited them all to the Avengers. I'm in the mood for a movie that doesn't have to be the start of something crazy. Like, I'm in it for like A New Hope, right? Like, I want to see a really cool movie, and if it's great and it's successful and everyone gets behind it, sure, maybe they can turn it into something. But that it tells a complete story within its own scope. I'm actually really excited about the prospect of seeing something like that.
Yeah, I know. I'm
I
with
think
you on
that'll
that.
happen.
Yeah, it's one of those things where everything you see now is a sequel or a remake or something like this. And granted, this is taking one property and putting it in a different medium. But John, you're absolutely right. It'd be great to have just a good movie, just simple as that. And we don't need to like Pirates of the Caribbean it, where we're like, okay, well, we're making it a trilogy. Okay. Oh wait, there's a fourth movie now too. Okay. Oh wait, there's a fifth one, and they're not going to have flying in it. Okay. Sorry, that's for later. But yeah, if they nail the story right, which Blizzard is so protective over their properties that I don't think that they would really, let them misstep too far. I mean, they put hundreds of thousands, if not $1 million, into games that they've just said, nope, we're not doing it. Like StarCraft Ghost, the action adventure Warcraft game that they had forever ago, kind of Titanfall, things like that. They're so protective that I think that of all the video games that are coming out, this will be, either a step towards legitimate movie or the actual thing.
Yeah, and I want everyone to understand, it's not that I'm saying I don't want them to ever make a sequel to this movie. If it's good, I wouldn't have no issue with there being a Warcraft 2 or, 3 or whatever. But I'm excited about the prospect of this is the movie. This is the movie we're getting, everybody. Mm-hmm. It's not the first part of a trilogy or anything like that. I'm excited to see that.
Yes, very much so.
Well, last year at BlizzCon, they had the #1 lore fan, because he wrote it, stand up, and he's super excited about this. And if he's okay with this, I'm totally behind the story. I think it's going to be great. Low expectations. Well,
I mean, there's bound to be some concessions for the sake of film. I think anybody would probably be able to pick it apart with a fine-tooth comb. From the footage we saw at BlizzCon, there's a part where you see kind of the dark portal in progress.
Spoiler!
And it's like, well, that's not how it looks in the game, but that's not the point. So, I think as long as everybody goes in and is willing to just say, like, hey, let's see what comes of this, it'll be good.
Yeah, and everything from the proof of concept is just that, proof of concept. So who knows? Stormwind might be entirely different. But from what we saw, it looks like Stormwind. Like, hands down. Like, they just went into the game and totally troned it and took a picture. And,
yeah, it actually looks eerily like Stormwind. Like, oh my gosh, that's unmistakably Stormwind.
In fact, I think, like, the entire audience was like, Stormwind. Like, collectively.
It was the moment that everyone kind of gasped at. Because you can see an orc and think, yeah, that looks like an orc, and that's great. But I think all of us had this idea that when it came to the cities and stuff, it was going to be, and here's a generic fantasy castle land. And then to see Stormwind, like, real as a place that it feels like I could go to, I think that was kind of the most breathtaking moment.
Yeah, definitely. So, John.
Yes, Ben.
You want to talk about the next little bit of news there? See, it's better if I let you introduce that stuff just so that you could just jump right in.
Just so I can go.
Yeah,
you're giving me free reign to go.
Pretty much. I mean, it's not like I can stop you anyway.
We should probably talk about the developer water cooler first.
Okay, cool.
Do you want a countdown, John?
Nope, because we're talking about the developer water cooler first. Hey! Blizzard posted a developer water cooler. And I love when they do stuff like this because it's a cool look behind the scenes to what they're thinking. And sometimes it's really good news. So in this case, I really love the things they talked about. The first thing they talked about was making personal loot better. And the reason they felt the need to make personal loot when you're in a raid better is because theoretically you can go in and everybody can be set to personal loot, and there's a chance that nobody on your raid team would get loot.
That happened to us once.
Now, if you're in a group, you're guaranteed to get something if you're doing group loot. No guarantees you'll be able to use it. No guarantees it's going to be upgrades for everybody, but there will be loot of some kind being dropped. And so they felt that there was a slight disparity between that guaranteed nature of group loot versus the potential for no loot whatsoever with personal. And so what they're doing is they are actually making personal loot operate a little bit more like group loot without having to do all the negotiations. The boss is guaranteed to drop loot. Someone in your team will be getting something when you down a boss on personal loot. In addition to that, it's going to drop more somethings to simulate kind of the better chance of getting an upgrade and stuff like that. So they're actually increasing the amount a little bit. Basically, what the more loot is there to balance against is the fact that you can't trade it. So one of the advantages to group loot, if I kill a boss, something drops, we can have a negotiation across the team of who needs it and who wants it. In the case of our raid team, we can argue over who's going to get it in the form of, no, you should take it. No, you should take it.
Which happens a lot more than I wish it did. Everybody's too nice on our team.
So they're dropping more loot as kind of a way to forego that, because they understand that is a convenience, an additional convenience to group loot. So the counter to that is more loot will be dropping in personal loot. They are also going to make it a little bit flashier so that the excitement is from more than just people saying, I got loot.
Wait,
and then like 8 people going, I got gold.
Double
I got
gold.
gold.
Double gold.
Double gold. Double gold.
Double heroic gold.
Yeah.
So they're doing some UI changes to kind of flash it up. so that you can see that, hey, people are getting loot. Look at all this loot that people are getting. And I think that'll be cool. We haven't exactly seen it in action just yet. Hopefully it makes it very clear right off the bat whether or not it was you who got loot, because I can see a lot of people, if something flashes up on the screen, they're like, yeah, and then it like goes off to someone else on your raid team. It's just, oh. So we'll see how they ultimately handle it, but I'm pretty excited about that. You all know I am a big fan of personal loot. I think that is the loot system that everyone should use. I think it's the right way. But what are your thoughts?
Go for it, Alisaunder.
Okay. I think that more loot is good, but when everybody else around you is getting loot and you're not getting that loot, just because it's random and it happens, it's really not a happy moment when it happens for like the 6th week in a row. Mm-hmm. And that happens too. So I think overall it's a good thing, but I don't see that it's going to help a lot because we already have so many ways to get loot from garrisons and Apexis and God knows what else. All this stuff that we can do. So this is just one more little thing that we're already doing anyway. So it's not going to change anything, except we'll have more things which may or may not be better. I just don't know. I mean, it's great, it's fine, but is it like really great? I don't know. We'll see.
It's really great.
It is really great. Totally really great. No,
my raid team's on a break, so it's kind of moot for me.
Nope.
It's going to be LFR loot for me. So
understood completely. See, so here's the thing: our raid team has gone from personal loot to group loot and back again, depending on what boss we're on. But for the most part, we've switched to just group loot, which it makes sense, but doesn't at the same time for a lot of the reasons that John was saying. Now, John, when you came in and joined us, like one of the first times, after your hiatus, we were on group loot and nothing dropped that would have been good for you. So you had absolutely zero chance at loot.
Yeah.
Then next time that we did personal loot, nothing dropped for you, but you got more gold. So yay, I guess. But so here's the thing. Like you were saying, the biggest difference is when we have 25 people, we'll get 4 pieces of gear. When it's personal loot, we'll get 2, maybe 3, if we're lucky, 5. And this just totally evens it out across the board. So if we have 25 people, we're on personal loot, we're guaranteed 4. We're probably guaranteed 5 because we can't, swap and everything. So it helps when you're trying to get that actual piece of loot that you're going for. The reason that I've been able to actually gain loot and everything when we've been running is because we've been using group loot and everybody's already gotten all the stuff that they've already had. So there's advantages both ways, but overall I think that having personal loot with more gear dropping, with a proclivity for tier pieces to drop and everything like that, it's just going to help out a lot of different raid teams, especially like ours, who were more friends and family, as opposed to people who are in there easily killing bosses, just flying through the content, where we might struggle a little bit more than everybody else. So more gear for us, especially because I'm selfish like that when it comes to loot, I guess, is definitely a good thing. I'm looking forward to it. And the fact that the loot that will drop is, going to be a slightly better upgrade than, all the different versions of getting loot, like, say, Apexis, like you said, Garrison stuff. It's only going to help us with our game, which is good. So,
yeah. Well, it's one of those... Go ahead.
Okay, Joe Brewer 00 from the chat room says that this is going to help the social aspect of raiding, which, with all the talk we've had about loneliness and not talking with people, that's a good point. And I think that is a really good change, and I am definitely in support of that.
Yeah.
We definitely need to talk more.
So that's kind of a point I wanted to touch on is, loot discussions, loot-related discussions are not interesting discussions.
They take a while.
Like when we down a boss, let's say the loot window pops up and you have determined that there is nothing that boss has dropped that you're interested in, which, when you consider that, only X amount of loot drops from a given boss, that's a lot of people. Probably the majority of the raid are now no longer involved in the loot discussion. They then get to sit and listen to, okay, here's the loot rules, and then explain it a couple times because nobody paid attention the first time. Then everybody does their roll, which everybody waits for. Then it goes out. Then, I don't know if I actually really needed this. Does anybody else want this? I don't know. Let me see if it's an upgrade. I accidentally rolled need, even though it's my off spec and I never play it. Does anybody need this? Like, that is the most... no, I'm not interested in hearing any of it. It happens. It's a part of it. It is what it is, but it is boring, uninteresting conversation for everybody else on your raid team, and it happens all the time in that raid. So I believe in boss is dead, here's your loot. Hey, let's all take a moment to celebrate that we got loot because, hey, we're talking about it, and sure, there's people that didn't get it. They're like, oh, man, I didn't get it. But it's 2 seconds, and you're on to the next thing. Like, you're going towards more loot at that point, and it doesn't have to become a whole to-do. So I'm all for it, and even more for it because, check out this transition, they also announced that they're going to be making some changes to the way secondary stats on loot is handled. What that means is there's going to be more variation to the loot. I might get this mysterious shrunken head that has these secondary stats on it, or I might get this mysterious shrunken head that has better stats for me on it. So there's a chance that the same loot could be appealing multiple times in a row. Now, if you're in a group loot situation, you would feel the need to share that with maybe the other classes that haven't had a shot at it yet. By telling them, oh, well, they haven't gotten it. So even though that's an upgrade for me, I should probably let them take it because they're still, they don't have anything as good yet. Mm-hmm. So now you're missing out on an upgrade so it can go to the player who hasn't been as lucky as you.
Yeah, we've even had that issue where something would drop with like a gem slot in it. Same exact gear, but oh, look, a gem slot. Or look, it's Warforged or something along those lines.
Right. And it's one of those things where you want to get good stuff for you, but you want to be fair and you want to be nice, right? And that's where it gets tricky. When you say, "Oh man, this weapon dropped and it's awesome, and this is a better upgrade. This is an upgraded version of it, but I already have one, and so's over there, and he's still got a blue item for his weapon. There is no way I can feel good about myself if I insist that I get this. I need to let him have it." But then you're disappointed and you're not happy about the loot. Personal loot lets you get that item without any of the guilt.
Yeah, plus it opens up more time to talk.
I lost my first guild over the guild loot issue about who got the loot. And so, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had issues. Going into 25-man Next Ramus forever ago, there was a clothy that we had who, on one run, got almost every single cloth bit. And it wasn't hey, it's a bigger upgrade for her. She just rolled and won every single roll, as opposed to just being like, oh, I already got a piece or two, never mind. And it takes away a lot of the loot drama. In fact, when we were, actually going to be doing Master Looter, it was one of the most stressful nights I've had because people didn't like the way that I was running it. People didn't like that, one roll for 2 pieces of the same exact loot. The time that it was taking to distribute, me trying to look up to see who it was actually a better upgrade for, things like that. It ate up so much time, added so much stress that, group loot it's perfect for us. I mean, it might not be for, say, the Mythic Raiders or, someone who is definitely not us, but it really feels like Blizzard took a lot of time to look at this and really give a good upgrade to a system that it worked decently, but now it's that much better.
And I want to give a shout out to Joe Brewer in the chat, who's being very insistent, and I think he has a good point, but I'm going to argue with him, saying that So ignore everyone else, just do your job, get gear, call it a day. Personally, I like idle chit chat, but that's me personally. I raid more for the social aspect and less about the loot. I agree. And I agree with that. We are a social friends and family guild. Or raid team. We've said that a bunch. The difference in what I'm talking about here is this. I have zero interest hearing your discussion about how you accidentally rolled need instead of greed, or that you've forgotten the loot rules that we've said 8 times, or you trying to figure out if it's an upgrade. Because when all that's done, then we all start talking about stuff that everybody's interested in. We talk about movies, we talk about video games, we laugh about boss mechanics, we laugh about jokes that people are telling, we talk about all sorts of interesting stuff. It's probably not interesting to the wide world, but we have a good time and we have fun. That's the part that I enjoy. That's the social aspect I enjoy. When you have to break it down and talk about a weird mechanic that doesn't necessarily even need to be there, that's the part that I'm not into. So I think it's a good mechanic for some people. I mean, if all your raid team is talking about is loot, and if they're not talking about loot, then they're quiet, then yeah, I probably wouldn't go with personal loot. But the conversation to me is far more interesting when it's not about loot.
Yeah, and one more thing that I want to throw out there too. Arcane mentioned it a while ago, but this is something that actually helped with pugs as well. Because when they would have Master Looter or something along those lines, a lot of pieces were ninja'd. People would be going in, putting in their effort and time, and getting absolutely nothing out of it because they never had a chance at loot. So having a personal loot system will actually help that situation out quite a bit as well.
Yeah, so there was one more thing they talked about in the developer water cooler, and that is they're going to do some changes to the way that the raids are actually itemized. Because right now what they are noticing is that there are people who are getting their best in slot items from the first and second boss, which makes the latter parts of the raid interesting as they should be. It should feel like a progression in their mind, and I would be inclined to agree with that. So the idea is that the item level is actually going to increase, and the itemization is actually going to get better the further into the dungeon you go, which to me makes sense. You should kill the latter bosses and get better rewards for it. And that was kind of one of the cool things about Garrosh in Siege of Orgrimmar, is he had those heirloom weapons that everybody really wanted. And so there was that drive to get to the end and down the final boss. And sometimes if they don't have that higher incentive, other than just, oh, this is the maximum thing I need for my character, you lose some of that motivation to progress through the raid. So I'm pretty excited about this. What are your guys' thoughts on the ramp up?
There is a problem with people who have their best in slot, and then they just stop showing up, and they're usually the first ones that do it. So that'll stop that at least. But it seems like it's a good thing.
Yeah. A lot of people were
higher.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, with those slightly higher eye level and stuff like that, it'll help figure out that whole is it better to do high mall? Is it better to do Foundry, because the eye levels are kind of weird that way. It'll solve that, and that's good. So.
Yeah, and from what I remember when we were talking about legendaries, that's kind of the argument that a lot of people would have is as soon as they got their legendaries, they left. Well, those people suck. But I will say, though, that I like this idea. It gives people more of, an incentive to keep running with the group. But even more so, it's kind of like the gear upgrades from Mists of Pandaria, if you ask me. The more you progress, the more you do. You still have the same piece of gear, but it upgrades a little. It gives you just that extra little punch. So the fact that just, doing the raiding content will actually do that for you, kind of like that. I think it's kind of cool. However, it'd be nice if you had more control over it other than, well, we haven't killed this boss yet, so it's not going to bump up until after we kill that boss. But, it's not going to be a 100% perfect system for everybody, which is exactly what Blizzard does. They try to fix a problem. People are going to whine about it. Other people are going to like it. So, yeah.
I wonder, because the garrison loot, I wonder how that's going to work with the upgrades and stuff like that. if you can still get anything from anywhere in, say, Foundry, but you're only running actually the first 2 or 3 bosses. Maybe you're stuck on one of those, and so you're not progressing. But can you get loot through your garrison table for anywhere in the Foundry? I don't know how that works, but
my guess would be that they would limit the loot table, which I think they already do. I don't know. I don't believe you can get tier loot out of the boxes. Like I think there's already levels of restrictions on what you can get through your garrison. I could be wrong, but I think there is. And my guess would be that it would not pull from the entire raid loot table. My guess would be they would put together a limited one that was mostly from early parts of the raid.
Most likely.
And Rambling has a point. Don't put the best in slot on the last boss. And that's something that the hunters in the Hunting Party podcast have complained about, is putting our best in slot weapon, which is vitally important to us, on the very last boss.
Yeah.
We kind of need a little sooner than that.
But you know what? You can move and shoot at the same time, so...
Yeah.
I do agree. Like the last boss of a raid tier, and even more so when you get to the last boss of the expansion, is always kind of an interesting prospect. Because in a lot of ways, you're getting that gear for the purpose of fighting that boss. So then what do you put on that final boss? And I always liked the idea of them having a very specialized loot table as like, here's an extra reward for beating them. I did not like the methodology from back in the day where it was, well, that's where all the weapons drop. Because for a lot of classes, the weapons are the most important part of how to do good DPS. So it's important that we get those sooner than later. But especially for, I don't know, classes that maybe need to get lucky twice and get the weapons 2 times before they're on par with people who only needed to get 1. So I always like the idea of having a specialized loot table, but I'm always curious what they're going to decide that should be.
Yeah, I like Rose's suggestion. Last boss rewards should be stuff that improves the gear you already have. Or
whoa, what happened to your voice while you were saying that?
I air bubble. Anyways,
you got an accent. It was great.
Okay, that works. So anyway, stuff you already have, or vanity rewards. Now you got me all messed up thinking about my talking. Thanks. But
it weirded me out. I was terrified for a moment.
I'm someone else.
Well, what I want to know is, what kind of vanity rewards are you thinking, Ro?
Pets.
So I'm thinking like a hat that glows.
No, that could work too. But no, I mean, he even mentions that heirlooms on Gary were really great for that. It was something that it is an upgrade for you, but it lasted for more than just, hey, I beat the boss, now what? You got to use those heirloom weapons through most of leveling in Draenor, which is really nice. If I remember correctly, the tier piece that dropped off of him was basically just a thing that says, hey, you can get a tier piece whatever you want. So it helped you pick, the piece of gear or whatever that you actually need that you might have been unlucky on for, say, Thok didn't drop your gloves or whatever. So, something along those lines I think really fits much more into what it seems like Blizzard is really kind of pushing for, say maybe end of raid tier bosses or something.
Rose suggestion are mounts, pets, transmog, and more Pepe hats.
Pepe needs everything.
Yeah.
He needs weapons next.
I like that we have moved Pepe into his own tier. He is just his own category of loot.
Yeah, I like that. That works. Definitely.
Especially if you have to raid with Pepe on your head to get the Pepe hat.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't want to have a hat drop if you're somehow an evil person that just hates love and life. And so you don't bring Pepe with you.
Yeah, I started taking him around to...
But Pepe dies. I think the more considerate thing is to leave him happily in my garrison, living a happy life.
No, I take him around and take pictures with him everywhere. That's what I do.
Yeah. You don't want him to be a prisoner, John. You know you don't.
Well, he can
that's why I'm letting him roam free in my garrison. I'm not confining him to my head and taking him into Hellfire Citadel. Come on, Pepe, let's go on vacation. We're going to a citadel that has hell in the name.
Hey, look, there's going to be warm air currents. You can totally float around.
Also, my monk rolls. Like, that seems like the wrong thing to do with a bird on your head. If I had a bird land on my head, the last thing I would do is a somersault.
I've got a question, though. If you're a druid and you're switched to bird form, do you still have Pepe on your head? Somebody test that, because I don't know.
Do you still
Sounds
have
like
Pepe
how
on your
you
head
get
when you switch
pregnant.
forms anyway?
Or whatever you call it for birds.
Egg lay? I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, so John,
Chat room, get on it.
John, there's a big section of the notes right there.
Yeah,
That,
let's finally get into this, I guess. So today, Ian has a costas, however you want to say it. Decide and then believe that that's what I said.
Stop stalling. Get with it.
He talked to Polygon today in what seemed like a piece designed to get people hyped up about patch 6.2.
And they are hyped.
Instead, the effect seems to be that he made a lot of people very angry.
Hyped.
So we're going to get to everything he talked about in a moment. But let's address the elephant in the room, and this is where it's going to go into a bit of a rant, and I will be curious to see what people's reaction is, because I actually agree with both sides, so I'm either going to make everybody angry or everyone will agree with me. So my day is going to either be really good tomorrow, or whenever this releases, or really bad. We'll find out.
So John, what you're
Would you
saying
like
is...
me to read it for you, John?
Oh,
No,
we want people to hate him.
Yes, you're the guest. You can go ahead and read it.
The world feels larger, feels more dangerous, he says. There is more room for exploration, for secrets, for discovery, and overall immersion in the world. At this point, we feel that outdoor gameplay in World of Warcraft is ultimately better without flying. We are not going to be reintroducing the ability to fly in Draenor. Yeah.
And not just Draenor. He also went on to say that the current...
Hazacostas confirms that this direction includes future expansions.
Yes. So, in summary, Blizzard has taken a firm stance, and there will be no flying in Warlords of Draenor. And as it currently stands, flying will not be a thing that is going to be in any upcoming expansions unless they feel it is, zone or situation specifically appropriate. So if they did a zone that was all in the sky, you would probably be allowed to fly there. But unless that is the case, no flying for you. Now, I have some thoughts on this.
Oh, I do too.
And before I get into how I feel, I actually want to go ahead and read a post that was posted by an MVP on the forums. Her name is Restikin, and I want to read this because she wrote this shortly after it came up, so it's perhaps a little more heated than... It's heated, but I think it's reasonable at the same time, and it says a lot of what I actually feel about the topic. So I'll go ahead and read this. I'll let you guys tell me what you think, and then I'll say my bit.
Yep, just everybody put on your seatbelts. It's a little bit of a long ride, but trust me, it's well worth it.
So Restikin said, "That's fine. If I can't have the convenience of flying, I'll just never, ever leave my garrison to go exploring anywhere ever again. I'll just play World of Raiding and Garrisons. When garrisons get blamed for the ills of removing flying and garrisons get removed in 7.0 to promote exploring, I'll have to reevaluate if this game is worth my time or not. No flying is fine while leveling and content is new and current. No flying while content is old and stale a year or 2 years later. I'm over that. Flying is what makes me want to go out and explore old leveling zones a year into the expansion because it introduces a new way to see the world. I don't care about exploring on the ground mount in leveling areas at max level because exploring mostly just means totally needless inconvenience to get places. There's no such thing as a real exploring at max level. To get places, you just look up the correct path to get from point A to point B on Wowhead or other website tools the first time. After the first time, you already know everything about the path and that one singular experience. I really don't feel like being inconvenienced when a flying mount would give me a better way to get over some stupid mountain for the 100th time than I needed to get over it. Getting lost trying to find the one singular correct path over a mountain is neither exploring nor fun to me. It gets even worse on the 100th time. I have to take that same path around that same mountain in my way. I'd be fine if access to my flying mount required me to complete some sort of explorer achievement for me to prove that the content is old. I was fine with spaces like the Timeless Isle where there were no flying bubbles, small contained spaces where flying didn't feel needed. I'm not fine with no flying in Nagrand a year into being level 100. If flying mounts are basically gone forever, then Blizzard needs to stop selling flying-enabled mounts, stop giving away flying-enabled mounts as rewards, and stop producing marketing advertisements that include misleading flying scenes. If flying is bad for the game, then stop using flying as a marketing tool. In the end, I'm fine with playing World of Raiding and Garrisons. I love raiding. I love garrisons. I just don't even really miss the outside world at all this far into the expansion.
Yep, and just to recap, that was Restokin on Twitter.
Yes, the post was on the forums, but you can find her on Twitter, and I'm sure you can find a link to the actual post.
Mm-hmm. That's where I found it.
So, Alisaunder, what do you think of no flying now and into the foreseeable future?
We will forget. We will get used to it. And back in the old day, before we could fly, I enjoyed riding along the roads and stuff like that. That's actually some of my better memories, and something that I'm often wanting to bring back is the whole riding around and enjoying the scenery and the build of the zones, because I think they're really good at that. But man, I don't want to give up my flying like completely. So I mean, I spend most of my time back in the old world anyway, so I'm flying a lot. So it's technically not gonna matter. But oh man, I don't know. I want my flying back, just a little bit. I mean, it doesn't have to be forever, but I want my flying back. So, I think that they're not going to keep it forever because people are just going to be really pissed. But we will get used to it because we will. We always do. But man, this is kind of harsh.
Okay,
Ben,
I got
it. Let me ask you, because there's a part of me that is super eager to find out, because Ben is. People may only be somewhat aware of this. Sometimes when I get really upset about a thing, I call Ben to find out if I should actually be really upset about a thing.
Yes, you do.
Sometimes he vindicates me, sometimes he doesn't, which oddly enough tends to make me more angry. But Ben is a strongly neutral. Like, I believe he probably has a Swiss heritage to him. He likes to ride right in the middle and not immediately jump on an extreme bandwagon, but sometimes something gets to him. So I'm curious to see what Ben thinks on this.
Okay. It's interesting on kind of where I lay with this, because first of all, there was definitely a lot of really good points that Restokin brought up. I completely agree with that. But the big thing is that I mostly agree. Mostly. So
with who?
Here's the
Restokin or Blizzard?
Yeah. Mostly Restokin, really. Okay, but let me preface all of this. So I really enjoyed leveling on a ground mount. I totally did. It's one of the things that when people are saying, "Oh, there's not going to be any sort of leveling or flying," everybody was getting so upset and mad about it and everything like that. I'm just like, yeah, okay, it's cool. It's kind of what Blizzard decides. We've had multiple expansions where we don't actually fly while leveling. That's fine. I figured that they were going to give it to us at some point later in the expansion, which I was okay with because I love going through exploring as I'm leveling on the ground. I see things. Although with all the crap that they put on the ground for people to find, there's no way I would have found everything if it wasn't for handy notes. No way. Like this little tiny hammer in this cart that's way over there. It's like, no effing way would I have found that. What's the point of that? So, hey, good job, handy notes. I got to thank you for that. But, so going through, like I said, leveling, that was great. It was really neat. It was like, okay, cool. I'm in the world. Fantastic. It's been, 7 months since the game came out? 6 months, something like that?
Early November.
Yeah, so 7 months, 6, 7, whatever. It's been a while. I've been level 100 on my main for a long time. I finished leveling to 100 on my Alliance Mage. I finished leveling 100 to my Monk. And at this point, I'm done with just being on the ground. I understand, while leveling, it's still kind of important, still gives you that story beat and everything like that. But on my Mage, do you know where I go and where I don't go in Draenor? I'm never in the Grand unless I absolutely have to be, because that place is a pain in the ass to navigate, to explore, because there's all these rises. If you want to get to, really cool stuff to explore, you have to take a Goblin Glider and go the exact right path to know exactly where you have to go, which is a pain. I don't go to Spires of Iraq because, you know what, there's this giant mountain in the middle that you have to transverse all the way around to really get to anything. And then there's all these dips and valleys over here, and it doesn't work. Yeah, going into that zone for the first time with that quest, with the spires right there and the laser shooting down and stuff, all that was really cinematic and cool and awesome. But you know what? Lost its appeal. Don't care anymore because I've already played through that entire story content. I know what happens. Why can't I fly? It is just, it's frustrating. I understand that the flight points are great. They get you from point A to point B really fast comparative to, don't take a flight point in Old World because it is annoying as crap. It's great. You can get there fast. But you know what? I'm not out there herbing. I'm not out there mining. I'm definitely not out there pet battling. I mean, I'm a pet guy, and I just got my 150 to get my level 3 menagerie because you know what? They finally enabled it so that the battles in your menagerie count towards that achievement. I'm not going out. I don't want to do archaeology to get another pet because in Spires of Iraq, again, there's this archaeology dig site. Guess what? I've got to go all the way over here to get to this thing. Oh, wait, you know what? I'm too far. I got to go all the way back to the other thing. It's one of these things that it is just so frustrating to do the common things that they've built into this game for end game content that it's more frustrating than not. I'm perfectly fine if they want to give us flying, halfway through the expansion or something like that, as long as it's in there for all the people who have gone through, leveled, seen the content, and have no use for just a ground-only mount at this point.
It's really bad when in Shadow Moon Valley, which is your very first one as Alliance, the maps don't show you the roads to get to, basic quests, within your first couple of quests.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I ran into that same problem.
They make you go, literally, the other way to the U-turn to get to where you need to go. Mm-hmm. That's ridiculous. That's why I really want flying in Draenor. Because what's the point of going the other way? Why can't you just get where you're trying to go? I know it's like a time sink or something frigging like that, but that's ridiculous. That's just punishing us for no reason.
Yeah, I'm with Restokin. I'm staying in my garrison for the most part because exploring, which is in Pandaria, probably the one thing that I did more than anything else. And John, I was in game every single day doing something. I know the ins and outs of Pandaria. I know really cool secret spots. I know like the Up House. There's no way I would have found that or seen that if I wasn't able to fly, if I wasn't able to get into places and see different things that's going on. There's just not that sense of wonder and exploration because they're making it so difficult to actually get out into the world.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I'm going to actually use that point to go into what I have to say because it's a very good point. Granted, I've had more time with Pandaria than I have with Warlords of Draenor, so there could be an argument for anybody who wants to say, well, we've only had Warlords of Draenor for half a year. You know, you've spent at least 2 in Pandaria, so of course you know it better. I can't really tell you much about the world of Warlords of Draenor. I can't tell you much about Draenor. I can tell you the general gist of what the zones look like. I can tell you vaguely where some things are here and there. I honestly, I can't even remember the name of half the zones. The world doesn't feel important to me. And one of the primary reasons that the world doesn't feel important to me is because I don't feel like I spent any time learning about it. I feel like I spent a lot of time being moved from set piece to set piece and then back to my garrison, then set piece to set piece, then back to my garrison, so on until I was done. But I can't tell you, like you said, about the Up House. I can't tell you about the cool cave that's over here. I can't tell you about the fun little building filled with shoes that I found because I have no interest in going and trying to find it. Yeah. There's no reason for me to step outside of my garrison and explore. So what the lack of flying has actually done in this expansion has actually discouraged me from exploring. I never would have gotten handy notes until this expansion, which is when I got it. And then it became a game of travel from one icon to the next icon and find the thing to click on. Except for in Nagrand, where it was find out that everything requires this dumb goblin glider mechanic, which requires you to find a convoluted path to get a glider to then fly a convoluted path to get the loot that if you miss, you then have to go riding back to the convoluted path and try again. That's not fun. That's not exploring. That is tedious. And it prevented me from getting most of the treasures in Nagrand. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm, in the minority. I'd be surprised if I was in the minority of people in that situation. I think most people didn't want to bother with the treasures in Nagrand.
I stopped. Yeah, I was big on getting all of them. Hey, hit Nagrand, done.
So
you didn't need them. You didn't need the gear anymore. You didn't even need the garrison resources. You didn't need the gold. So at that point, it really was kind of pointless to do them.
Mm-hmm. For anybody who is maybe joining this show after Warlords has come out or after we were earlier, talking about it prior to its launch, let me be clear with what my stance is on flying. Prior to the launch of Warlords of Draenor, I was 100% behind Blizzard's decision to not let you fly from the get-go.
Yeah, same here.
I think it's the right decision. I still think it was the right decision. I even thought it was the right decision to wait until the first content patch, which was the original plan. I completely support giving everybody a grounded experience going into the expansion. I think that's the way the game should be played. I think that's the way the game feels the best. I'm 100% for that. That's the part where I agree with Blizzard. They are now at a point where I can tell you I am not doing as much in Warlords of Draenor as I would be doing simply because they haven't given us flying. Because when I get into the game, I do my garrison stuff, which even that is barely holding me these days. Mm-hmm. And then I say, okay, what now? And I always hit that point of, okay, what now? Do I want to keep playing WoW or do I want to log out and do something else? So you look at your options. Well, I can go do an Apexis daily. Yeah, but I got to fly all the way over there. By flight path, mind you. If I make that decision to take the flight path, I do what probably a lot of us do. Click the guy, say this is where I want to go, get up in the air, and that is the moment you hit Alt-Tab and begin browsing through Google and Twitter and social media, or you get up and you go make yourself a snack. You are not sitting at the keyboard. You are no longer playing World of Warcraft. You are just letting your guy ride around on a mount. And I don't care if they make those flight paths 2 seconds long. You are still going to disengage from the game at that point. Now, one thing that frequently happens to me is I discover that whatever's happening on Twitter or in my email or wherever I'm going is vastly more interesting than watching my character fly. And next thing I know, I have completely forgotten that I was even logged into WoW, and I'm invested in something else. Then by the time I remember, oh yeah, I was playing World of Warcraft, and I open it back up, I think, I've got better things to do than this right now. And I exit out of the game. More often than not, though, I don't even take the flight path because I don't want to waste the time. I'm not interested in it. So there's not enough of it in me to overcome the, like, let's go do this thing. I certainly don't play the game to explore, which I have done before in Pandaria. Flying around is what I did when I was bored in Pandaria. When I'm bored in Warlords of Draenor, I log out. Gone are the days of flying circles around Orgrimmar or Shatrath or whatever the major city is at the time, and here are the days of, I'm bored, I'm going to just log out of the game. I certainly am experiencing more. I'm a better Heroes of the Storm player for the lack of flying that's in World of Warcraft right now, but it's not fun. It's not engaging. I'm not having a good time with it, and I could be. And I know that there are people out there saying that, the game's better this way and you just would be happy, you would be unhappy no matter what. Maybe. I don't think this is a very good expansion.
Well, let me put it this way, John. When you were playing and leveling and everything, when you were on the ground, you were having a good time. I remember because I was having a good time. We were talking about it, and it immersed us. It put us on the ground. We were doing stuff, but I mean, still it was get from point A to point B, not a whole lot of exploring, but still we were immersed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this has absolutely nothing to do with the whole, like, you'll never be happy, or you just want to fly because it's, lift off and land. No, it has nothing to do with that. We're talking about, we've gone through the leveling content. We've gone through what they've given us no flying for. And I think that is the big issue right there. Little pockets and bubbles like Timeless Isle, which I still have issues with because that is not a fun place to me. But I'm okay with not flying there because it's a small bubble.
Yeah.
Draenor, I'm sorry. Okay, do you remember, 2-3 weeks ago when we talked about the hidden things in WoW, and there's that campfire with the chairs and everything that goes from Timeless Isle to Gorgrund?
Yeah.
No one would have found that from Gorgrund. No one. Because there's no way to get to that little island unless you go through the Timeless Isle. Why? Something cool like that could have been found by just flying and exploring. Oh, what's on this little rock over here? Oh, what's this? Oh, this is... Holy crap, I'm on Timeless Isle. Something like that would have been cool as opposed to, I'm going underwater. I'm back here just farming old stuff because... I didn't get my rep up or something. And it was found that way. I think I brought it up in the chat room, like the Robin Williams tributes. I forgot about that for the longest time until I just randomly remembered, looked it up online, and then it took me a while to get over there, and I think I even had to slow fall or goblin glide or whatever to get to where some of that stuff was. And that wasn't fun. If I was able to fly, I could check out the little islands, see all the different things. It's one of those things where it takes away from the experience as opposed to, putting you in it.
Yeah, I have no idea where the Robin Williams thing is because I never explored enough to even have the potential to find it. And I don't want to go to a website and have to look up these things. It's more fun to find. I would rather have somebody tell me, hey, did you know the Up House is in Jade Forest? And me go out and find it. Mm-hmm. But the problem is they've built this... The way they've built it is you have to go through hordes of enemies and get aggro and have things knock you off your mount and, all sorts of stuff. And it just becomes bothersome and it becomes tedious.
Just getting to the raid entrance. Take the flight path, you go through mobs, you get attacked every time, unless someone's there to summon you already. But they had to go through that to get there.
Yeah, it's not a fun experience, and make no mistake, I'm not saying I want flying and I want to be able to fly into Tanan Jungle. I think when Tanan Jungle launches, I don't think there should be flying in there. But I think for this content that's half a year old that people are now experiencing mostly through alts, I think that needs to allow for it. I think that content needs to have the flight as an option. There's really no disadvantage to it. It's not like those treasures are so game breaking that getting them is going to totally destroy things. I waste my garrison resources like it's nobody's business because I max out on them too easily. I have more gold coming in from my followers than the 50 that I find from some rare treasure is going to give me. Anything that is an item is completely useless to me now as a raider. It is not game breaking to let me just fly up to the top of a mountain and take it. Like, there's nothing that's going to break the game by me doing that. And the only thing that putting flying back in is going to do is make it easier for me to go out and experience the content, which they have even said recently people are having a harder time getting into. They don't know if they've actually supplied enough. And part of the reason they did this whole interview with them is because they were trying to say, look, we've added something for everybody. And they know that they haven't appealed to everybody. So to me, if you like the fact that there's no flying in the game, I think that's fine. Mm-hmm. I don't think you're wrong or weird for thinking that. I think that's totally acceptable. But there's a lot of people that their gameplay hinges on it. Put it in for them, and if you don't want to fly, then you just stay on your ground mount. I don't think that's a good policy to have from the get-go, but when we're 6 months in and people are saying this is feeling stale, I think that's a perfectly reasonable policy to have.
I actually am a 2-time World Explorer, once on Horde, once on the Alliance. And this is the first expansion that I couldn't tell you a darn thing about because it's too hard to get around. It's just not interesting. Yeah. It's not that it's not interesting, it's just that it's not fun to get to see all these places. And I'm huge on lore, and I've got no interest in seeking out these places and these NPCs and these reps and these archaeology things. None of it, because it's just not worth the hassle to get there. And I feel kind of bad about that. But not bad enough to, force myself to go do it.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And Ro brought up a point that I was actually just going to say. And, all these great flying mounts that they've given us, there's not that much incentive to get them anymore. I mean, Ashes of Alar, I farmed that thing forever. I was so excited when I finally got it. I knew I wasn't going to be able to use it in Draenor, for a while. Now it's forever. So I was happy going to older places that I've experienced hundreds of times over because I could fly around on it. I'm not going to be on it on a ground mount. I mean, that's my personal preference, but I'm on a bird. Why am I flying an inch off the ground? All these dragons. I'm working on, Dragon Soul to get the Blazing Drake so I can get the Emerald Drake. The one Drake flight that I've wanted for, ever since I learned about the Emerald Dream. Never going to fly on it because, I can't. What's the point of that as a reward? All these really great things that we have, they're useless now. I mean, granted, yeah, you can run around on them, and that was what we were promised. Like, the only thing you can't go around on right now is the Seahorse. Woo! But you're on a dragon just running on the ground. What fun is that? Like, I know that's like the pettiest bit of the argument, but seriously, you want to talk about immersion breaking? Hey, I'm riding on my dragon.
It's worse to be on a mount that you should be flying when you're limited to the ground. Mm-hmm. And you're following every little crevice, and you have to go around chasms and around hills and around tree stumps.
Mm-hmm.
You should be able to just hop right over. And you know that this is just not right.
And, I agree this is probably the part of the argument I'm the least interested in, and it is probably the most potential for people being really overly toxic and harsh. But I think it needs to be said, Blizzard sells flying mounts.
Mm-hmm.
The collector's edition for this expansion contained a flying mount.
They just put out the Mystic Runesaber.
Yep.
Which is a flying mount.
Joe
I mean,
Brewer
an
even-
argument can be made that it, at least looks like a ground mount, and it happens to be able to fly. But yes, it is also a flying mount. The pet shop, in order to get people excited for Warlords of Draenor, they put in a flying mount. Flying mounts have traditionally been the greater reward for most things. Now, in Blizzard's defense to this point, Ian Hazacostas even said in the interview, had he been a betting man, he would have said flying was going to happen this expansion. This was something that was very clearly decided during the course of the expansion, something that they came to, but that doesn't excuse that Blizzard has been making a profit off flying mounts and is now backpedaling and say, oh, maybe we don't want you to be able to use those anymore. I wouldn't be surprised if eventually they make it to where you can pick one of your flying mounts as your flight path mount, and that's what will fly you from point A to point B. I think that's a really shitty solution, and it sucks.
It's better
But I
than
wouldn't
nothing.
be surprised if they did it.
Yeah, Joe Brewer pointed out too on the launcher, the Rune Saber is flying in Shadow Moon Valley. That's what the picture's of.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even notice that. That's really messed up.
Maybe it's just falling with style. You don't know.
Even more so,
Oh my gosh.
the collector's edition mount is a flying mount.
Yeah. So, okay. So here's the thing. Like, that's shitty. That's a shitty thing to see. I already was kind of mad at Blizzard, even when I was still completely on the camp of they shouldn't put flying in yet. Like, even when I was with those people, I, on this show, said Nagrand feels like the biggest FU to people who like flying ever. It feels like a zone created intentionally to troll people who wish flying was in the game. They might as well have shaped Nagrand in the shape of a giant middle finger and said "F you flying" to people with the way that zone is built. I already feel like Blizzard has been a little too aggressive on the no, screw you guys, you can't fly, and then doing stuff the way they've been doing it is real rough. Yeah, there it is. Ben's putting it up on the in the chat, showing it flying.
Falling with style.
That's pretty messed up.
That's pretty sad, actually.
So yeah, I mean, do you guys have any kind of closing thoughts on this? I don't want to make it the only thing we talk about all night, because I mean, he did say a lot of stuff in this interview, but everybody is just talking about this flying thing because it's not only just a decision for this expansion, but it's a decision for all expansions for the foreseeable future. I have to believe they're going to change their mind to some degree on this. Again, we could be talking about a vocal minority here, but all three of us, including Switzerland, Ben, is on the side that this is something that should be allowed at this point. And because he's my moral compass, that makes me think that that's the way it should actually be.
And I just want to say one more time, I enjoyed leveling without flying. I'm perfectly fine with that. But I'm done leveling.
Yeah, it's time. It's time to let us fly.
Yeah.
Well, talking about it on a podcast, some of them do listen to podcasts. I don't know which ones, but hopefully somebody heard something today. That would be nice. But if they didn't, we should go to the forums and we should type a well-written, coherent, concise, not flaming response explaining why all the reasons they should not do this to us.
Yeah,
It's
Don't write
only
horrible
way.
things. They don't listen when you write horrible things. Be nice.
Yeah,
be
and
constructive.
Let's take a moment to talk about that. This is another thing that bothers me. First of all, it bothers me the people. If the thing that you are threatening in regards to a video game is anything worse than I'm unsubbing or not going to buy any more of your products, if you have escalated beyond that point, then you are taking this game far too seriously. And this is coming from someone who takes this game far too seriously. So settle the hell down, first, to all of you. Second, if you are the kind of person who is just passively like, well, Blizzard's going to do what it's going to do. Sorry to Spanky Hunter. I know I'm somewhat quoting you, even though that's not your stance. I'm not trying to throw you under the bus specifically. But let me tell you, anybody out there that's just like, it is what it is, you are just as bad as the people who are being incredibly toxic. Blizzard is not infallible. Blizzard is people who make the best decisions that they can with the information that they have. They are making this decision because they believe it is right for the game and because they feel that it's what should be done. Maybe they're right. I don't think they are, and there's a lot of people who don't think they are. But they still have the right to think that. Our job as players is when we disagree with that, is to go to them and say, this is why we disagree, this is why we think it's a problem, and to present it respectfully and, you know, say, hey, have you thought about this? Because guess what? They've got a lot on their minds. They've got a lot on their plates. Ben and I get to play armchair developer all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And most of the time they don't do the things we do, so we just look like we know what we're talking about when in fact we probably don't.
Otherwise, there would be a lazy river in Orgrimmar right now.
Would, damn it, and it'd be great.
Yes.
So the thing is, though, they have to take into account far more than what we're taking into account here. They could have ideas. They know what the next expansion is. They're working on it. This might be very pivotal to the next expansion. Who knows? But we should go and we should present the argument. If you have an opinion on this and your reaction is, meh, they'll do what they're going to do, you are not helping Blizzard. And even Blizzard would be the first people to say, you should tell us these things. They want feedback. They want to hear from you. They want constructive criticism. It is not disrespectful to go to Blizzard and say, I think you're making a mistake. That helps them make this game good. That's how video games get made, when it's an ongoing game and constantly evolving. If they don't have that feedback, then they're not taking your interests to heart. So if you love that they're getting rid of flying, go tell them that you think it's the right thing. If you hate it, go tell them that you hate it. Do it respectfully, do it fairly, and use your voice and let them know about it. But being passive and, I don't like it, but what are you going to do? That's not helping anybody any more than someone getting on and saying, you took out fly, I'm going to kill you. Both of you are being equally disruptive to the process.
Yeah, and we will have a link. Sorry.
And give reasons. Explain why you feel the way you do. Just saying, I like it, and then signing off does not help. Because they don't know what it is exactly about it you like or dislike. You have to be specific about why you like or dislike it. That's how criticism works.
Yeah, and we will be having Restokin's post linked in our show notes, so definitely check that out. I believe that she is on like page 2 or something, so you can start from the beginning if you want. Definitely check out her post, reread what John read, and kind of build off of that. Be constructive. It's the biggest thing.
Yeah, be constructive. Be good with your feedback. That's what we're trying to do. Whether you agree with us or not, if you're sitting there right now yelling at your screen, why don't you guys see why this is the best thing ever? That's fine. That's good. I don't want people who listen to this show to think everything Ben says is right. They should think everything I say is right, though. But I don't want them to think that everything Ben says is right. Honestly, I don't think you should think that about what I say either. I want you to go out and form your own opinions. I want you to disagree with us. I want you to challenge us. I kind of threw him out a little bit earlier. I'm going to say Spanky Hunter, he and I disagree about almost everything. But I like him a lot because he constantly challenges us. He will give us feedback. He will be contrary to our viewpoints. He offers a perspective that is not the same as ours. We're in a situation right now where all three of us are kind of in the same ballpark and we're all kind of going in the same direction. It's a weird mixed metaphor. Stick with me. But it's nice to hear someone come out and say, well, this is why I personally disagree with you. And maybe the solution is, well, we're just going to have to agree to disagree, and it doesn't get any further than that. But it's good to know that the other perspective is there, and I'm happy to know that people are thinking for themselves and not just saying, hey, I'm going to just idly agree with the very first thing I heard or the very first thing I read. Yeah. Form your own opinion, state your own opinion, do it respectfully, and we can all have a better game for it. That sounds like a good deal to me.
Yep. And just to put a pin in this, Bro pointed out that there are over 3,000 posts already. That's a lot.
In 9 hours.
Yep. So make sure that if you post, you are very respectful, so it's going to get read, as opposed to all the people who are just, I hate this. Don't start out with, hey, jerk face. Not a good way to get their attention.
And you know what? We don't know exactly when 6.2 is coming out. And there's nothing wrong with taking a month or 2 or 3 or 4 off, unless you're rowing your sub for the next 2 years. So that is one way to communicate to Blizzard that they definitely understand. Is you're not leaving forever. You're just leaving for a month or 2 or 3. And, go play Witcher. Go play whatever that other game that Ben's playing. But there's lots of things you can do. Besides, play WoW.
Go have sex on a unicorn.
Yep, everyone should be doing
I wasn't going to say that, but yeah, you could do that.
I mean, I'm just throwing out activities. I can't help it. It's the first thing that popped into my head.
Thanks. We needed that.
Go see the Mad Max movie.
There you go.
That's something you could do.
I'm probably going to do that this weekend instead of flying in Draenor, so...
Yeah.
On a unicorn, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, not the unicorn thing. I'm not doing that this weekend.
That's probably for the best. Now, we did mention,
including the unicorn.
We did mention that Ian Hazzikostas did give a full interview. We'll go ahead and have link to that in our patch notes as well. We write patch notes in our show notes as well,
which are going to be very short.
Well, not exact. Well, they're always short, really. I don't put a lot of time into that. But you know what? I think that's a good place to kind of just close it out. We spoke as passionately as we could. If we even try to talk about anything else, it's not going to reach that same height, I think.
Right. It's going to hit kind of a low note. I think just to real quick throw out kind of the key points, this is not the final content patch. That was something that a lot of people were wondering about. Mm-hmm. So let's throw that out there. And they're exploring evolving time-walking dungeons. You already know my thoughts on time-walking dungeons. What a waste of time and resources.
And walking.
Yeah. So...
Yeah, I don't quite understand that, because I do go back to go through the old dungeons anytime I feel like, and I thoroughly enjoy racing through them at level 100. So time walking doesn't really have an appeal to me, but maybe some people do. It's post on the forums if you're for time walking
or against it.
It's one of those things where people who watched the episode where I found out that time walking was not going to be something that you could do when you wanted, but it was something that they would tell you when you could do, and was going to be very limited in scope. You got to actually watch me go from super excited to soul crushed. So
was that the same episode that I broke Mick?
Yeah, that was the episode with Mick Montgomery.
Sorry again, Mick.
We depressed
that was a good
one.
one.
No, or was it Seraphis?
Oh, yeah.
It was Seraphis who we crushed the hopes and dreams of. Mick was always happy.
Yeah, Mick is always happy. He's a good guy.
He's in the chat. Hi, Mick. How are you?
He is? Oh,
yeah.
Hey, Mick.
Yeah, he's been there for a while.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
And he is stoked about time walking.
Oh, totally. Totally. John, you know what else I'm stoked about?
Fires.
Sometimes when I'm on my mage. But you know what's even better to get stoked about?
Monks.
No.
I think he's close, though.
Apparel.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so if I were to tell you that there could be gear that could actually drop for you in real life for just a low price, would you be excited for that?
Wait a minute. This is like spending gold to get gear, Ben? They're doing that in patch 6.2, but you're telling me I can make that a reality in my day-to-day life?
Exactly. But instead of gold, what if I were to tell you that there was a currency called US dollar?
Don't fall for it.
Unrealistic. I don't understand this concept. Keep
Well,
me.
if you go to a website, it's slashloot.com.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, they have all different types of gear drops that you can get. What's even better is that it's gear that you can wear yourself.
Now hold on, Ben. I'm traditionally a plate wearer.
And?
Do they have gear that I can equip?
Yes, because everybody can wear a shirt, John. Everybody.
That's true. Everybody has a shirt slot. And you know what I've noticed, Ben?
What?
People rarely equip things in their shirt slot. It is one of the most woefully ignored slots in the game.
It is.
So it would be greatly beneficial to me if there was a place where I could easily find something to put in the shirt slot.
Yes.
May I add, the next slot is severely underrated as well.
Oh, and we will totally get to that. But first, with the shirt slot, if you go to slashloot.com and click on podcast, you can pay real world currency for your very own Azeroth Roundtable shirt. It is black. It has a Murloc on it. He's holding a microphone. It says Azeroth Roundtable. It's the best way that you can actually support the show without physically walking up to us and giving us money.
Now, Ben, I'm concerned.
Really?
I've been burned before. Sometimes I throw money into the vast sea of the internet, and I feel like I don't know exactly what it is I'm supporting. For all I know, I'm buying blood diamonds. Where will this money go?
It goes directly to Azeroth Roundtable, which is us, except for, shipping and handling and the cost of production of the shirt. Everything after that goes right to us into our accounts and helps us pay for this fine program.
That's fantastic. This show is really great. These guys are passionate, and that John knows his stuff. So I will do this. I will spend this money for a shirt.
Okay. Now, Alisaunder, you were saying something about the neck item. Do you have anything?
I actually have tried this strange method you spoke of, and it worked for me. I sent out an email, and I received something in the mail, and it was almost like a neck thing, only not quite. So I put some keys on it, and it's quite stylish. I am very happy with it.
Very cool. And what is this fine thing that you got?
It is a keychain with a Murloc, and it has a microphone.
Wow!
I take it everywhere I go.
That is amazing. Congratulations on your Murloc with a mic keychain. And John, I'm very happy to report that in your closet right now is probably an Azeroth Roundtable t-shirt.
Bullshit.
Try it. Just take a look.
I can't.
I know, you're not at your home. So everybody, slashloot.com. Make sure you head over to geekasylum.etsy.com. Help us out. It really does.
Really does save us.
Yeah, you might have noticed that there was no Celebrity Murloc Theater this week. That's because we didn't get a submission.
But that's okay, because we've gotten multiples in past weeks, so the competition remains... Well, not competition. The charity drive remains in full effect. But if you do want to support charities, and you're not a horrible person, you could make a Celebrity Murloc Theater and send it to us. If, say, maybe you don't like Celebrity Murloc Theater and think it needs more cowbell, you could record a Celebrity Murloc Theater with nothing but cowbell and send us that as well, just as a suggestion, not to call out any one person in specific.
Yep.
Please keep them under 60 seconds, and do include a Murloc.
Yes, it's good if there's a Murloc in your Celebrity Murloc Theater. I feel like we could devolve this into a whole lot of really specific... Please include a Murloc. In fact, I would encourage you to probably, I don't know, make the Celebrity Murloc Theater thing about a Murloc as opposed to maybe about a monologue from a movie that you like. But that's just an open suggestion. Really, you just do what you feel like and we'll give money to charity for it. So there you go.
Yeah, we're trying to help people out.
Yes, it goes to Child's Play Charity. Ro and the guys and a few other people from the chat room have been doing this, and we'll do this at the end of the year. They'll total it all up and give out money to children. So
Not just random children, but Child's Play.
Child's Play.
Yeah. We're not going to like walk around and like, hey kid, here's some money. I think you get arrested for that.
Yeah, that'll get you in serious trouble.
Yeah.
Careful.
So, Alisaunder, thank you very much for joining us this week. It has been a pleasure talking with you, even though John and I might have talked for most of the episode, and I'm sorry for that.
No, it's fine because it's always fun to hang out with you guys in the chat room like I do. And the chat room is go chat room. I'm just sad that I didn't get to do my Murlocs, but you know, it's all right.
Well, you know
I don't
what?
have to embarrass myself.
What sound does a Murloc make?
Yep, it's true. It's accurate.
Yep.
That's exactly what a Murloc says.
Yeah, so, Alisaunder,
When it's having sex on a unicorn!
Oh, bring it back.
Oh, baby.
How can people find you?
I am every other week on Sunday afternoons on the Hunting Party podcast. I am in the chat room there. I'm the chat room wrangler.
Ooh.
And help with patch notes and stuff like that. Well, chat notes and stuff. I email a ton of websites and podcasts, so you can usually find me in the email section. And I think that's about it. I'm on Ice Crown server. I'm Alisaunder.
Good call. I'd like to let you go by your name. That totally makes sense.
Well, I've got one on the Horde side, and that's Alisaunder with an E, and that's the main one. For the Horde!
Yeah.
And then I've got the one for the Alliance that's got Alisaunder. So,
For the Alliance.
Or what?
you know, don't let me be the face!
That works.
Yeah.
John.
Dogs just exploded into the room. Did everybody hear that?
I did.
Yeah, we did. Here come the Murlocs.
Yeah,
Well-
they're really excited. They want you all to know that you can follow me on Twitter at John_Jagger. That's John Jon. You can hear me on this show like you just did. You can hear me from 3 to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the NVIDIA stream with Scott Johnson. That's at twitch.com. Wait, hold on. I forgot how addresses work. Twitch.tv/NVIDIA. Or you can actually find us on the latest episode of Current Geek, which includes myself and Ben, who will tell you where else you can find him besides that right now.
Oh my gosh, how did you know? You can find me on Twitter. I am at AlTheMage. I also do a show with Ludra called Battle Pets, which I'll be editing either tonight or tomorrow, as well as a show called Geektopia, which the next episode is going to be in a couple weeks. Steve and I are going to be going to Phoenix Comic-Con and talking to people there. As for this show, you can find us on Twitter. We are at AzerothRT. If you have questions, comments, want to tell us how wrong we are about flying, or want to agree with us about how we are about flying, weird sentence, whatever, I'm going with it, send that to AzerothRoundtable@gmail.com. If you want to listen to us anytime, anywhere, you can find us on Stitcher, TuneIn, iTunes, and of course, AzerothRoundtable.com. Every single episode we've done is there. I need to take a breath because I...
Here,
ran out
while
of
you
air.
do that, let me also tell you, you should check out our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/AzerothRT. It is curated by a pretty awesome guy who's on this show. He's ruggedly handsome, and he offers great Heroes of the Storm advice. He also will post our games that we play and the full show, because we have enough subscribers that you get to hear our amazing pre- and post-show. So wonder why we kept talking about sex with unicorns? Well, maybe listen to the end of this episode if you're listening to the podcast and Ben decides to include it. But if he doesn't, you can go to the YouTube channel and you can know exactly why we're talking about having sex on top of unicorns. Boy, I hope I didn't mess that up at any point and said sex with unicorns. That would be awkward.
Well, it'd be magical.
Be horny.
Last but not least, our intro contains music from Volatile Reaction by Kevin MacLeod. You can find more of his music at incompetech.com. So, chat room, you've been great. Thank you for all the talk. I really wish that we could have said more of what you said, but unfortunately, if we had a roundtable with all of you, it makes it really hard for people to actually say things.
It's already hard enough with me hogging all the air.
Pretty much.
Look at all the animals in the chat room.
Bye, everybody.
No unicorns,
the
though.
beagles.
Wow, you're already cutting the stream. You are tired, Ben.
No, I'm not cutting the stream. I'm cutting the recording.
Oh.
There you go. Recording's done.
I thought you were already leaving. I panicked. I'm
I
sorry.
wouldn't do that.
Well, I'm sorry I wasn't more active, but
No, you
there
were
was
fine.
really a lot to say.
I'm just sorry that we hogged it. Like, we really try not to, but sometimes we just keep going.
Well, it was like you said at the beginning. This was going to be John's rant show, and it kind of was.
It's true. I did